The reason why you're so unhappy with your life is because you don't know your purpose. You don't know your power and you don't know your worth because you have not identified your gifts. But don't worry, I got you. Back in 2020, I wrote a book. It's called If God Gave Me Anything. And it speaks to the gifts that God has given me in hopes that you'll be able to identify the gifts that He has given you. All so that you can use them for your specific purpose in life. Now, if you've been following me, you know that we have been covering each chapter and we're at chapter 5 now. If you have not seen the first 4 recaps of chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, I advise you go back and watch those. That way you could be caught up and you could see whether or not you have these gifts. Chapter 5 is the gift of speech. So let's go. The tongue of the wise makes knowledge acceptable, but the mouth of fools spouts folly. Proverbs 15:2. The gift of speech is one I believe that should be diligently cultivated. And in cultivating this gift, I think that it's important for us to remember that this is truly a gift from God. The ability to communicate our innermost thoughts is what the gift of speech is. Now, when we talk about the gift of speech, we cannot dismiss the instrument that this gift uses in order to do this communicating, which is the tongue. Now, the tongue is one that is super powerful. And what we know about the tongue is that there is power in your tongue. So you have to be careful of those things that come out of your mouth, for it is an indication of what's going on in your heart. One of the things my mother used to say to me was, Rhonda, a closed mouth don't get fed. And in that moment when she would say that to me, I did not understand why she was saying it. But as an adult and as I grew older, I started to understand that that was her way of saying to me, if you don't communicate what you need, then there's no way you can expect anybody to know. And I think it's important for us to understand how much of an influence we have over our children in either increasing their confidence in speaking or decreasing their confidence in speaking. I was empowered to speak. I was empowered to say those things that were on my mind and to communicate my feelings. Now, whether or not they came out correctly all the time is something different. But I was empowered to do that. And a lot of times as adults, we find adults unable to use these gifts because as children, they were told not to. I have to be honest that the saying, what goes on in my house stays in my house, is one that I do not always agree with. And at home, everyone should feel safe. If what's going on in your home threatens the safety of an individual, should it stay in your home? The answer for me is simple: no. Children are taught early not to speak and not to have an opinion on anything because they're children. This is not realistic. They are individuals with thoughts and questions that if left unanswered, you leave it to the world to answer. And we all know we don't want that. So one of the things that I think is very important is knowing how to appropriately steward the gift of speech. And it is a parent's responsibility to help their children navigate this gift, because I believe we all have the gift of speech. But I also believe that based on your childhood experiences could determine whether or not you feel comfortable in speaking or if you shy. To be able to communicate those things on your heart is a gift from God. So when you tell a child not to communicate those things that are on their heart, you are stripping them of a gift that God gave them. Speech is a profound expression of power, and the crippling of it is a means to oppression. Now, in talking about the gift of speech, we cannot talk about this gift without including the instrument that's used to communicate those things of our heart, the tongue. When people say there's so much power in the tongue, what they're saying is the tongue has the power to uplift or bring down. It has the power to wound or heal. It has the power to bless or curse. But when we think about the gift of speech and how it was given, how it's a gift from God, we have to remember that God gives, if it's a gift from God, the purpose of it is to uplift, to heal, to bless his name, to bring somebody up. That's the purpose of the gifts. The tongue can be used for good and it could be used for evil. So we have to be cautious and be careful to use the gift according to the way the giver would want us to. If God gave me anything, he gave me the gift of speech. And I choose to uplift and encourage, to motivate and inspire. I choose to help those people feel comfortable in expressing their truths. Because if I don't know anything else, I know that you never know what blessings are being held up because you won't speak. Because you won't speak of the goodness of God, or you won't use your voice and your gifts to uplift and encourage and inspire someone else. You never know what blessings are being held up. So I encourage you to do this. And if you are someone who's interested in purchasing a copy of my book, the book is on my website. So you can click the link in my bio. If not, then y'all already know how this is going to go. I will see y'all at chapter 6.